Holy cow, welcome. Good morning, everyone. Nope, that's not going to do. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Roundhouse Theater. We are so thrilled to have you here. I saw a few of you this morning, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. We could not be more thrilled to welcome you to this group. And frankly, we could not be more thrilled to be here at the iconic Roundhouse Theater. Michael, who was just up here a little while ago, tuffled hair, glasses, very Danish, reminded you to download the app. I would say download the app right now. Make sure that you have a good Wi-Fi connection. It's extremely difficult to be a digital Sherlock without a good Wi-Fi connection. We should have a very good Wi-Fi connection here. And it would be absolutely ridiculous for us to have a conference here or a convening here at the Roundhouse Theater without a Spotify playlist. And so on the app, you can find a Spotify playlist. And it includes a number of the great music and the arts icons that have shared this stage before we got here. And frankly, it's a little ridiculous for us in suits and things like that to be at a rock venue. But one of those artists was Billy Bragg, the great Brit Billy Bragg. And after elections here in the United Kingdom in 1987, that's Margaret Thatcher, if everybody is keeping track at home, he wrote the song, Waiting for the Great Leap Forward. And one of the lyrics in that song is, if you've got a blacklist, I want to be on it. I would also note that subsequent versions of that song, because he's done riffs ever since then, have included the lyric, don't feed the trolls. And I want to point out for this group that that's an official policy at the Digital Forensic Research Lab. And to be clear, the DFRLab doesn't want to end up on any blacklists of any sort. Except for perhaps RT's top 10 worst list, which we were honored with the #1 spot last December. Thank you. It's a dubious honor. But it is appropriate in the midst of this chaotic global moment that we're here, in the center of counterculture in the United Kingdom. And we're here in a place where artists have created a platform to speak truth to power and tell stories. And at the DFRLab, we tell stories. And we began as a little bit of a counterculture group within the Atlantic Council and the foreign policy establishment that has a very specific way of kind of doing things. And fortunately for us, our president and CEO, Fred Kemp, who you'll hear a little bit from today, previously in his career had covered solidarity protests and movements in Poland as a reporter at the Wall Street Journal. And so that's a long way of saying that he was a little bit used to young people doing interesting things that were a little different than what had been done before. And so we got away with something. The DFRLab was a little bit different. So we started a center that proves things in an era where fact is not a given. And we use open source research. And to this day, at the Atlantic Council and kind of within this think tank community, within this global community of people that does this work, there's a little bit of an image at the Atlantic Council, which has 13 centers that are functional and regional, right? We have a Latin America center. We have colleagues here from today. We have a cyber statecraft initiative and things like that. And there's a little bit of a meme, a spicy meme, of the DFRLab as this kind of group of millennials that are probably sitting in a corner with like techno bumping music and probably a hoodie, big headphones, maybe in a coffee shop, discreet, eating avocado toast. And we have this kind of meme of like millennials that kind of do something different. And what I would say is that we just figured out how to do, we built a group with a very clear and urgent mission. And yeah, we do something a little different. But we set up a center that doesn't accept preconceived notions. We set up a group that doesn't do things in a specific way just because that's the way that it's been done before. And what we did is we started with evidence. We started with evidence and we finished with conclusions, rather than starting with conclusions and then finding evidence to back those up. And what we do is we identify, expose, and explain disinformation. Because objective facts are a foundation in free and open societies. And we identify, expose, and explain disinformation in order to take on a collective challenge. Disinformation feels like it's a very scary thing, right? Fake news, like it's scary and pervasive, and it could be everything that you see on the internet. And what we do is we try to break it down into its core components to say, okay, well, it's not actually like everything that you see on the internet or with the Wi-Fi connection that is hopefully very strong here at the Roundhouse Theater is fake. And we try to break that down into its core components to prove that it, like all things, can be overcome. And what I would say is disinformation is a truly collective challenge. At the DFRLab, I'm privileged to work with around 20 colleagues on 4 continents, all of whom are here in the room today. They're probably wearing little badges like this, lapel pins that say the Atlantic Council. And I would say that they are really, really good at what they do. And what's unique about it is it's a pleasure to work with them because A, they are really, really good at what they do, but also they share this urgency of mission. And so today we're joined by you, and you are also an extremely impressive group. You are here from 65 countries. Thank you for making the journey. And you're all here from all but one continent. Unfortunately, we couldn't find somebody from Antarctica to join. But also, we are evenly split, and this is an important point, we're evenly split between the groups that are collectively responsible for taking action on this challenge. So around the room, if you look around the tables, we're joined by basically an even amount of folks from government, from the private sector, and tech companies specifically, from media, and most importantly, from civil society. And if we are going to do something about this collective challenge, it's going to take all of us. Now, a few things to remember about all of these groups that sometimes disagree on a few things. I would say that we agree on more things than that we disagree on. And sometimes we forget that when we're trying to challenge this, or focus on collective solutions around disinformation. Disinformation is designed to drive us further apart rather than closer together, and we need to remember that. Also, in free and open societies, we need to not be afraid of our own shadows. These are really, really hard society-wide problems, and we need to not be afraid to engage with each other on that. And I would also say that we also have to move forward. This isn't a history conference, and we've all been to conferences where it's like, okay, disinformation's a thing that exists, and the internet is a thing that exists, and I want to talk to you about in 2014 and 2015 in Ukraine, there were Russians and a bunch of other stuff, and that's not what this conference is designed to do. We're not going to go over history. There are conferences for that, and they are really, really good. I'm a history nerd. But this meeting is about the skills and strategies, and most importantly, the community going forward. So before I turn it over to Damon Wilson, the Executive Vice President of the Atlantic Council, I want to thank you one more time for joining us. Welcome to the movement, and welcome Damon to the stage.